This year, I challenged myself to make a 5-minute and 30-second movie that is entirely visual effects in about 1 month. And for those of you who work in visual effects, in motion graphics, and digital imaging, you might be thinking, that is a fool's errand. An entire 5-minute, 30-second visual effects piece in like 30 days? Using state-of-the-art tools like Unreal Engine 5, Rococo Motion Capture, Cinema 4D, and Octane, I was able to achieve that goal. And I filmed every step of the process. So come along with me as I make this, frankly, ridiculous movie in about 30 days. Sending you back in time in 3, 2, 1. Basically what I'm doing today is just building the interior of the Skeleton nightclub. I really only created the outer shell. There's a lot of set decoration and lighting and textures that need to be done in Unreal Engine that I haven't started yet. So hopefully just exploring that today, making sure my model is feasible, making sure the model is to scale, and then building it out from there. Because once the nightclub is built, I can start populating it with characters and really start on all the scenes, all the shots that take place in this environment. I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going until I run out of steam. That's kind of the strategy. That was the strategy last time. Just like go until you run out of steam. Want to start off strong. Want to start off optimistic. Want to start off on a good beat here today. And let that set the tone for the next 45 days. It has been a few days. I definitely wanted to get a lot farther than I did, but if I'm being 100% honest, it's been a rough week. That being said, after work today, I was able to make a good amount of progress. The first thing was, now that the Skeleton nightclub the bones of it have been built, now it's time to really put a bunch of stuff in it and make it feel lived in. In addition to updating the textures, I just started getting some props, some chandeliers, candelabras, tables, just scattering them around the scene a little bit. From there, I was like, okay, so that's some pretty good progress, but really, I want the level of detail to be as high as possible. As nice and as high fidelity as Unreal Engine 5 is, it's not going to look the same as Redshift or Octane. But what you can do is add a ton of detail and make as much of that detail be photorealistic as possible, i.e. things that are generated from literal photographs, like photogrammetry or photographic textures a la Half-Life 2. It's weird because it's like I'm building the environment and then the entirety of this scene is just going to take place in what I built. It's kind of a strange workflow that I've never done before, but hopefully it all works out in the end. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I got a jump start on the music for this Skeleton nightclub video. In all of these skeleton dancing videos, I need a tempo. I need the skeletons to be able to dance to the actual music. Otherwise, like, you can kind of tell, like Spooky Scary Skeletons in NYC, yeah, 60 million views, whatever. It always bothers me that the skeletons don't dance on tempo. That's something I wanted to make sure right away, like the whole, kind of the edit goes along to this song. So I needed to have at least a drop in there to like anchor everything together. And what happens before the drop, what happens after the drop, kind of up in the air. So for instrumentation, anything that's Halloween-y in vibe, it's basically just marimbas because they sound like bones, kind of. Lastly, we have my least favorite instrument, the harpsichord. I don't know why, it's so grating to me, but it works really well for this. Usually I'll do like a church bell. Maybe I'll add that later. I don't know, we'll see. But here's where we are at. Xylophone and marimba builds up. This might change, I don't know. The drop itself, it's fun. Now that I've listened to it back, I was like, okay, this is fun. I could see some skeletons getting down to this. I guess mission accomplished there. I think I have at least what I need to sketch and everything else, and then I can come back later and finish this. So I realized today that I just don't have quite enough detail in the Skeleton nightclub scene. So today after work, I went in and just threw in a bunch of stones and spider webs and debris. That seemed to really help. And part of the reason this is because when we're using real-time render engines, Unreal is doing ray tracing in real time, it's not doing perfect path tracing, where it's literally tracing each individual photon. Like, that's just not how it works. It's doing some fancy wizardry behind the scenes. It is truly amazing, but it's hard to make a very clean-looking scene in Unreal look good. But thankfully, we're doing like a crypt, right? So we can have junk everywhere. So basically my plan here is just to keep throwing junk at this thing until it looks good. Already just like throwing in debris, breaking up some of those too perfect lines, and breaking up the tiling of the floor. It's really adding a lot. I added some cobwebs too that I thought would help. There's still a lot to do, but making great progress so far. I'm pooped. I need to go to bed. Basically what I did today was right after work, I built out the void scene. Now we're going to be shooting this on Sunday. This is not going to be Unreal. This is going to be fully in Cinema 4D and Octane. And then I did a little bit of work in Unreal, getting the nightclub looking a little bit better. I didn't really have ray tracing fully enabled, so today I just went in and dialed in all the settings, got everything looking pretty good, and honestly, it's not too bad. A couple nights ago, added all that junk and stuff, and I don't know, it's just feeling a lot more alive to me, and once it's like populated with skeletons and ghosts and stuff, I think it'll feel pretty good. Oh boy. This week at work has been rough, draining. It's Friday. I don't want to do anything, but I definitely should. So there's the logo for the nightclub that I'm going to whip up in Illustrator, and then I'm gonna model it in 3D, and then I'm gonna get it prepped for Unreal Engine, and then I'm gonna light it and texture it in Unreal Engine, and it doesn't seem like a lot, right? Just like making one logo, but it could take me hours. Luckily, I have booked a movie, Alien Romulus. It's like a little tradition before we have like big shoot days. I love to just like go see a movie at my giant megaplex theater. So we're in for a good weekend. We're in for a really fun weekend. I'm very excited. Got to get a little bit of work done here first, get some rest, see a fun movie, and then take everything else head on.
Do you have stuff that you're bringing in? Because you can take the front. Let's keep it a hole in there. Wow.
That pile of shoes might have looked ominous, but I'm actually in a wardrobe room picking out ties for Buddy when he arrives. He's got a plain black tie, but I'm thinking something with a little bit of texture. Got a ton of ties here, so directing is hard. You gotta say yes and no and decide things, so that's what I'm gonna do. All right, I gotta give a quick shout out to Casey, who is not only our producer on this shoot, but she's also filling in for hair and makeup last minute. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. This is Casey. She's doing makeup and producing. One question: how do you do it? How do you do it all?
Messily and on the fly.
That's what we're all about here. If you're a real one, you recognize Buddy.
Yeah.
He's our host. He was actually in the last one of these we did, the Observatory, so check that out. Plug.
But I'm no longer anonymous.
He's no longer anonymous. It was just a voice before.
Yeah.
You guys, you gotta watch the credits.
It's the same host. Canonically, it's the same.
Canonically, it is. Okay, I'll let you guys get to it, but
Okay.
I want to show up how cool everyone is.
Say bye to Buddy. We're dedifying him.
Yeah, Buddy's gonna look semi-dead in moments, so this is it. Those shoes, those came from people. I'm just gonna say that. All right, let's go. We got Buddy in the shot. Check out. This is Roman, by the way. This is Roman. He's doing all of our lighting, rigging, everything.
Yeah.
Making it happen.
Doing it all.
So thank you for your help and your services. Check out the sick lighting setups. Look at this. Big ol' softy. Big ol' backdrop. And Buddy is looking fine. It's never looked better. That's not true, I'm sorry.
It's like I tried to make
You definitely look better. Pretty good.
So could you take a step, like half a step to your right?
It's really jarring seeing all this great equipment. Right, we're doing it. We got like a legit bounce over here. Lights on real C-stands. Meanwhile, cut to my gear. Got the Sony a7S running like a $80 monitor and some like Rode lofts. But you know what? It'll look good. So that's all that matters. Also, this guy. This is Dane's actually.
Well, that's actually not plugged in. That's just so we can clip the Rode mic to it.
So we're literally not even using this mic. This mic is horrible, but over here we have this lav clipped in so that we're using the mic. It's like a parasite. That's incredible. So we're just getting lighting finished up, and then we're gonna shoot this bad boy, and then we'll get out of here. And that's it. That's the whole thing. So, buddy, you feel ready?
I hope so.
Excited? You were made for this role.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much my day to day. So I have a YouTube channel that I post on in October only, pretty much. So coming up soon, I'm gonna be having some things coming up on there.
This is coming out in October. So if you're watching this right now as this is releasing, check out Buddy's channel. I'll link
Buddy's
him.
House of Horror on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. I do stuff on there, mostly in October.
Boom. I mean, honestly, this whole video is like his brand, so it's half the reason why I asked him to do it. So it's like, Buddy knows the vibe. Okay, we are wrapped. Everyone did a great job. Everyone's packing up. We have a very teeny tiny skeleton crew. That's the way we do things here. It was great. Buddy did a great job. Everyone did a great job. Yeah. So huge shout out to Roman and Casey and Dane and Maddie who's here.
Skeleton crew. That was funny.
Oh, skeleton crew is a joke. Oh, there's Casey. Thanks to Casey. Yeah, okay. So we're gonna clean up, get out of here, and finish up. Thank you for producing this.
Oh my god, you're so welcome. Call me again when you have something real to shoot.
Honestly, I'm gonna take you up on that. You better be careful. All right, let's all. Actually, I need to shoot more tomorrow, but let's see what the next shoot. I'm going to Graveyard on the west side of Cleveland to shoot. It's got a beautiful Gothic gate. It should be amazing. I don't know. I say that like I actually have any idea if it's gonna be amazing or not. Really, I just need to get a few shots that are in the script, and I want them to look good because if they look good, then I don't need to go to a different graveyard and reshoot this. So let's get it done. All right, I'm here. Let's see if I can get some shots before it starts raining. Okay, so I tried to get a few shots, but this neighborhood, I'm gonna be honest, isn't the best, and there was some stuff going down back at the actual gate. So I know there's a second gate up here. It's not gonna be as cool, but I was kind of worried this would happen. The thing is, like, it's a perfect location, right? There's like residential area, spooky graveyard from like the 1800s, but there's a lot of characters around here. Interrupt the video, which is what was happening. So I wasn't able to get a good shot. Maybe I'll be able to get one here. Maybe this one will work. I don't know. See this? Could work. I don't know. Let's try it. I tried the gate on this side. I think it could work. One of the big questions with the gate you saw over there is how do you transition into the 3D world, into the dream world? And the gate is so big that it's not like you can see yourself going through it. So I was thinking there'd be like a plane of glass there, but then you have to like close the distance. Here, I actually created a seam by opening the gate and maybe using that as a mask to mask between the real world and the 3D camera tracked world. Really hope it works. I'm gonna go home and check that out. But first, I'm just gonna do some photogrammetry on some of these old-timey gravestones just to have a few more at my disposal, get a whole bunch of really nice looking photographically driven headstones. There have been times where I've been to this graveyard and, you look out across all these headstones and every once in a while you just see a person standing there. They're not a ghost, just like a guy, which is arguably scarier because he'll just be like, I'm like, gotta keep moving. It's funny because this is such like a beautiful old cemetery, right? This is a big piece of Cleveland history, but it also just happens to sit right next to a highway on a big divide between socioeconomic lines, so. Okay, we are back in the studio office, and I think it's gonna work. So basically, this shot is actually pretty complex. So we're gonna start in a CG scene. We're gonna transition to a real life scene, what I just shot out here in the graveyard. Then we transition into a CG scene using these two bars to kind of create a mask here and push through into a 3D environment. We're going to be using this camera data to drive most of this, but you'll notice here, we have a few seconds of black before this, so I'm gonna need to create a fake camera move that kind of matches the real camera move that we're tracking here. This is kind of a difficult shot, but I can see it all working in my head and I know all the pieces that need to go into it. All that I need to do is just do it. So this is gonna start with the camera track, and then we're gonna extend the camera on the back side, and then we're gonna drop that track into Unreal and finish it off in the full CG scene. It's ridiculous, but it should work. And we're doing the same thing for the very end, so hopefully I can figure this shot out and then just do it backwards for the very last shot. So it's September 25th, and this is like maybe 1 month now exactly from when I wanna release, because like, I don't want to release it on Halloween because, then the day after Halloween someone might see it and it won't be as relevant anymore, right? Making pretty good progress, honestly. I just talked to Connor and he's about to hit up these voice lines, so that's kind of like the big element, and that'll kind of dictate the pace and the shots we need and all that kind of thing. I went motion track this. It took a really long time for me to motion track it. It's a long shot, about 900 frames, a little bit more. So that was kind of intense, but got the motion track done, stayed up really late, and now it's time for the Unreal stuff. So I'm gonna have to finally today, like, start making this graveyard scene, get this camera in there, hopefully get it working. This is the one part where it's like, I don't quite remember the steps, so it's probably why I've been putting it off so long, but like I said, we're about 30 days from when this needs to drop, so I need to get to it. So I am gonna get to it. Okay, so it's been a few hours and I've made some actually pretty good progress. So I added some fog already. It's looking nice and moody. I've got the camera in there. The camera's tracking in. So now all I need to do is render it and just make sure that everything's lining up so I can go ahead and finish designing this scene, and then I'll have the graveyard environment done and the first shot done, and we'll be well on our way to, finishing this thing. So I'm here at Lakeview Cemetery on the east side of Cleveland. It's a huge, beautiful historic cemetery filled with nooks and crannies and secrets, and this is the perfect place to finish the rest of my 3D scan. So that's the plan. Hopefully I can get some good scans. The worst thing that can happen is for me to come away empty-handed, so let's get to it. Gotten a few scans that I think are gonna be pretty decent, but a few complicating factors. Number one, the sun is peeking out. It's a little bit diffuse, which is okay. With these hard shadows, with this harsh lighting, I'm really stuck to scanning things that are in shadow. The lighting conditions are tough. The other thing is mausoleums are big. It's not like a small gravestone you're scanning. It's something that it's kind of hard to get around. You gotta use a really wide angle lens. They're huge. They're ginormous, and sometimes they're touching plants, touching trees, things that notoriously throw off 3D scans. I got a few scans. I got one that I know is at least gonna be good, but the hunt continues. Some of these scans are hard to get. I have to climb up hills and try and get shots between the trees, and really photogrammetry like this in tough conditions is all about trying to create enough connecting shots, connecting details. So, okay, that's it. So I'm done scanning for the day. The rain is coming in. I can feel the temperature dropping like a degree a minute, so that's how you know. Hopefully I got some good stuff. You never know till you put it in the box. So here's to hoping, fingers crossed. If not, I'm gonna have to come back out here before the video drops. So basically what I did is I took, 150 to 100 photos of various different objects in the graveyard, things that I wanted to scan into 3D. And then what I do is I bring in all those photos into this software called Reality Capture. From there, I can build a point cloud, a dense point cloud. It approximates all the camera positions and projects points onto what it thinks the geometry is. I go in, I verify it, make sure it works. 90% of the time, I don't need to do anything. It's just good to go, like it was right here. Then I reconstruct the model in 3D. Assuming that construction is correct, I go up and I clean the model a little bit, which I'll do a little bit more in Cinema 4D, making it more usable as a 3D asset. But here, I'm really just trying to clean up the weird edges and stuff like that. I've got 3 more assets to do. Tomorrow's looking real busy. The 1st of October, and I think once the 1st of October hits, that's when the fire is gonna get lit under my butt. I need to get the graveyard scene finished, which means I need to get all these assets scanned in. So that's just really what I'm focusing on right now, is getting the assets in Unreal so I can finish the environment, so I can finish the first and last shot, so I can start the rest of the movie. Tonight, honestly, it's 11:18 p.m., approaching midnight. I've been cooking after work. I just went right into it, really. And I built out 3-4 shots in Cinema 4D, and then I just kind of brought them over one by one. So I would map out the camera move in Cinema, mainly because I like the vibrate tag a lot and how you can stack them up. You can stack noises on noises. I'm sure you can do something similar in Unreal. I'm just not as versed using like noise to create fake camera movement in Unreal, and I do it constantly in Cinema. So just for the sake of speed, I built all of the camera moves in Cinema 4D, brought them all into Unreal Engine, and then from there I just basically went in and finished the shot. Really, I just had this nice groove going of building the shot in Cinema 4D, bringing it into Unreal, making it look good, and then rinse and repeat over and over and over again. I got pretty far today. I created an entirely new environment, mostly based out of old assets. This environment is where we see the gate to the great beyond. And I knew I wanted some kind of like doorway, some kind of gate, but it was kind of hard to find something. I knew I wanted it to be a 3D scan, so I found this amazing scan. Credits are in the credits, and it looks so cool. So I basically just kind of set that in the middle of a Cinema 4D scene, brought it in, and then decorated the heck out of that set. That was most of it. I think the environment turned out really well. It looks, pretty spooky. It definitely also has its own personality compared to the other two, so that's exciting. It's very detail rich. Overall, though, I'm very happy with how things are turning out so far. I'm still waiting for most of the voiceover to come in, so today I really just went in and touched up the nightclub environment. I had a little bit more debris, and I was also thinking about the last environment I made, and I kind of wanted to connect the two thematically. So since there's a ton of ivy all over the door in the following scene, I was like, what if that ivy was like creeping out in, slowly making its way into the main nightclub, and we could see the ivy kind of reaching out, and maybe the skeletons stay away from there because they're kind of freaked out about it. And, just telling the story through the environment I thought would be interesting. So I did a little bit of that. And then the main thing I tackled today was just creating the dance version of the nightclub. So right when we first arrive, all the lights are on. We only see it for, really a shot. And then we jump into the dancing sequence where there are all these skeletons dancing, the lights go out, we have these fun like disco lights. So really all that I needed to do was get rid of, the big lights, swap some blueprints out, and then just make these fun disco lights. And I really like the way it turned out. It feels like a bowling alley or like laser tag, or I don't know. It gives the exact vibe that I wanted. Obviously, when we go in, we're going to need to relight some of the skeletons that are dancing, just to make sure each shot looks good. But as a base, I'm feeling good about it. So I'm going to call it a night there, go make some dinner, and hopefully I get some voiceover in soon so I can start, actually making some shots out of this. What is up? We're a third of the way through October, and I still don't have voiceover yet. So I'm going to make the most of the situation. I have my Rococo Smart Suit on, I've got it plugged into the software, and I'm going to record some mocap today. I've got a bunch of skeletons dancing, a bunch of ghosts dancing, and I have like a skeleton crowd, so I need a bunch of idle animations. So those are all going to be bespoke. As great as Mixamo is, as much as we use it all the time, no Mixamo here. So I'm going to dance and sweat and be idle, I guess, and build up a library of animations that I can use for the rest of the film, because I gotta get cooking. It's a third of the way through October and I need to get cooking, so it's time to mocap. Mocap is officially complete, I think. I hope that time-lapse captured how ridiculously unhinged that was. Cleo is sitting here watching me just like, Dad, what are you doing? I was just like, let's just go as wild as possible, right? These skeletons are really supposed to be getting down, so I was throwing limb here and there, really just trying to capture the most like silly skeleton dance possible. It's like not supposed to be good dancing, it's supposed to be like skeleton dancing, right? Which is just like bones and limbs and all kinds of weird stuff. Honestly, most of it's probably not usable because just the way that this type of mocap suit works, it's not great at catching these like, ridiculous motions. I think it's all accelerometers, I'm pretty sure. Thankfully, I can go edit that mocap data a little bit, so I'll know right away if it's usable or not. I don't know if I'm gonna take the suit off quite yet, because I might need to just do a couple more tame takes, but I went big, hopefully it will pay off. Okay, well, I looked over the mocap data and it's like shockingly good. Like they must have improved their algorithm significantly because I was putting the suit through its paces and getting like really clean mocap data. Like I really had to push it and it didn't really ever go off track until the very end. Just very impressive. So I have a lot of usable stuff, but I gotta cut this session short because apparently the Northern Lights are out in Cleveland. So I guess I'm gonna go see if that's a thing. All of the VO came in, like today. So of course I had to check it out. I had to drop it in the timeline, and all at once I am suddenly just acutely aware of how much work I have to do. Like I put everything out in the Premiere timeline, and I'm like, this thing's gonna be like 4 minutes long. A 4-minute visual effects piece. Connor has literally a 1 minute, 60-second monologue, and he had something similar in the last one, and that took like a week and a half to render, like almost a quarter of the entire month to render. And now I will render it and it will take me probably 15 minutes because that's Unreal Engine, right? Like, yes, we're trading off a lot of fidelity, But in this circumstance, it's just like so much more economical. And like at the end of the day, the people watching this on my main YouTube channel are mostly just kids and people who like want to see a funny movie, right? Will they care that the fidelity isn't at 100%? Will they care that the fidelity is only at 90%? Probably not, right? Like Spooky Scary Skeletons, the 60 million views one, but that was not a masterpiece, right? That was me basically learning how to comp in Octane. I don't know, I'm just like incredibly excited. I cannot wait to keep laying this in. I'm gonna start building shots. I kind of now see the full scope of what I need to do. And now I can do it. There's nothing else holding me back. I know exactly what I need to do. Now it's just like putting in the elbow grease and just doing it. I always have moments where, I think to myself, why am I doing this? Like, why even bother? Because there's a very good chance that no one's gonna see this. No one's gonna watch this. No one's gonna care. It's a lot of effort to put into a YouTube video, like banking on some idea that it's gonna go viral, right? Because it probably won't go viral. My channel has a lot of, I guess, like good built-in goodwill with YouTube, right? I have a lot of videos that have tens of thousands of views, millions of views, which is great, and it tends to just draw traffic to my channel. But at the end of the day, like if it's not a viral hit, it's gonna get maybe 1,000 views, maybe a few thousand views, but nothing spectacular. And that's kind of what I'm anticipating. And people are like, well, why? Like, why play the lottery, basically, right? And to me, I don't see this as playing the lottery, right? I'm not making this video because I think it's gonna go viral. I'm making this video because I think it would be fun. And I think it'd be silly. It's what I want to do. It's what I want to make. That's exactly how the original Spooky Scary Skeletons went. I was just so tired of trying to play film festivals and play the algorithm. I was just like, I just want to make something really, really, really stupid. Like, that's truly what it was. I was on my lunch break at like the Vietnam Memorial Park in New York City, and I was just like, because at the end of the day, I just wanted to have fun, make something fun, and not just make something for like the sake of clout or whatever. So at the end of the day, I'm making this for me. I'm making this for me and my friends, and we're gonna laugh and have a great time. And if no one on the internet sees it, like, that's fine, because that's not part of it, right? It's a plus. It's a perk. It's great, to feel validated and to feel like millions of people adore your work, right? I get comments every day on Spooky Scary Skeletons, and it's great, right? But that's not why I do it. That's not why I'm here. That's not why I'm making this video for you guys. This video probably only has like 15 views, right? Because no one's gonna see it, but it's here for other artists, for people who are in the situation saying, why am I doing this? Why make anything? And the answer is because something's telling you to, right? That's the only advice I can give. It's just like, just make it. If it gets 1 million views, great. If it gets 0 views, great. Like, what's important is that you've made it. You've taken the idea inside yourself and you've put it out into the world, and that is what matters. That's why we do it. That's why we have to do it. I hope if you take nothing else away from this video, just make the thing, make the idea, whatever it is, and have fun doing it. Otherwise, why are we here? Why are we even doing any of this? I didn't mean to get philosophical. It is late. I just need to get to work. I'm completely sidetracked. Last night, I admitted defeat. It was tough. It was real tough stuff. I was really bummed because I wanted this character, Lord Bonesworth. I wanted Lord Bonesworth's mouth to move because I thought that would just add such, just give his character some more life. And right now I really have to rely on, the mocap and also the hands. And here's the thing, where Coco makes, like, gloves where you can mocap your finger movements, and I'm a big gesticulator anyway, so especially in the mocap performance that I did, like, I'm gesticulating a lot, but none of that data is captured, so I have to go in and manually gesticulate with the fingers, and it's very tedious, and just because I don't have time, I need to take shortcuts. So you'll actually notice that his hands really only move like this. The thumbs don't even move. The thumbs are so messed up in the skin and the mesh that, like, if I rotate them, they start to go in weird directions. So really, like, the thumbs just kind of stay put and the hands just move like this constantly. But hopefully it gives enough gesticulation that it'll look okay. I have this mocap done, have the camera done. All I need to do is bring this into Unreal, light it, get some other, like, skeletons posed for, like, the outro. Oh, the Yankees just hit a big hit. I'm watching the I'm watching the Guardians play the Yankees because Cleveland is on the world stage once more. Go Guards. I know this is not going to age well, but it is what it is. Cleveland sports. Tomorrow's Friday. I might have a little bit of time. I work on Saturday, unfortunately, for the Michigan State game, so I'm hoping I have some time this weekend to just, like, get the final shots done, do the last little batch of mocap I need to do, and finish this one strong. Okay, a few things. I look different because I showered and changed. The Guardians won. That's wild. And this movie is 4 minutes and 30 seconds complete. I've completed 4 minutes and 30 seconds of this movie, which is absolutely wild. That is a ton of progress. And it's wild how like this, I just did like this huge 2,000 frame shot and it just rendered in a few minutes. And I was able to put it together so fast. Unreal's great. And fidelity is not as good. And I'm not worrying as much about fidelity. I'm not QCing every single one of these frames. If there's a little glitch, so be it. It's fine. These are essentially like meme videos, right? Really the ultimate test here is, can I come up with a silly, ambitious idea, and can I iterate on it very quickly? And I think that's where Unreal Engine really, really, really thrives, right? Where you have a quick idea and you need to get it out quickly and it doesn't need to be top notch. I think there's some videos where you're trying to be photoreal, you're trying to integrate CG elements with footage. There, Octane and Redshift and Arnold thrive, right? Those are never gonna be replaced. But for a cartoony, silly video like this, that's a very quick idea that I wanna get out the door quickly, Unreal's great. It's fantastic. And hopefully this opens doors for me in the future where I can have my big projects that I'm working on, but also have, you know, silly little goofy one-offs that I can keep posting to the channel. Really excited about this process so far. It's been super smooth sailing. Let's hope that pattern continues. Saturday night, got off work a couple hours ago. Guys, I'm basically finished, which is wild to say. The last shot is rendering right now. There are a few changes, couple glitches I need to work through, but like, it's done. And I'm kind of blindsided by this because usually the workflow is you do like a previs pass where you make this sort of clay wireframe animation, you get the camera moves down, you get the blocking down, and then you go in and you do the rendering and all of like the fine detail animation, and then you hit render and then you wait for forever. But with this, it's kind of like I'm doing all the passes at once. Like and now the shot's done. It's broken my brain going from like, you know, adding a little bit of details here, fixing the animation here, changing the environment here, and just like it all just being the shot. Like I'm almost always looking at basically the end result. I'm not gonna lie, my brain is still hasn't really caught up to this. The fact that I've finished all these visuals in like basically 30 days. And I guess that means now I just get to spend a little bit extra time on the audio and the music, which is good because that's always a part that's rushed because it's at the very end of the process and you just got to get it out the door. So I guess that's what's next. So today I'm taking my first pass at audio and it is going pretty well so far. I've got pretty much everything laid in. There's a few sound effects I still need, like a shovel, and I feel like Lord Bonesworth just needs something to bring him to life a little bit. I'm not like totally sold on the animation. Connor's performance is incredible, but I just think the animation's a little bit lacking, just to be honest, you know, without the jaw moving. So I wanted to do something that made him feel like he existed a little bit more in the world. So I'm gonna try and do some Foley to simulate his armor clanking and rattling. So I have this pizza pan and this drawing rack that kind of rattle nicely. And I'm hoping this will kind of simulate his armor pieces. Okay, so I got my special effects, Foley, and ambience tracks roughed in, honestly pretty close. There is some stuff missing, but that's okay. It's day one of sound. Tomorrow I'm probably not going to be able to hit this very much because I got stuff going on after work, and then that leaves Wednesday, Thursday really to just like finish the music on this. I kind of thought I was going to get the music today. You can see I got out the keyboard a little bit prematurely. I'm just excited. The music's going to be fun. I'm very, very much looking forward to it. It is kind of fun. It is cool, like building sound effects, and when you get the perfect sound, it's just really nice, but it can be quite the process to get there. So my rattling I think worked really well. It makes like those nice armor clinking sounds, and I think it does actually bring him to life a little bit more. That's a huge plus. I think next is just the score and kind of refining some of the sound effects, and just really trying to get this thing refined so the soundscape is one beautiful seamless package instead of sort of sporadic sound effects, which is kind of where we're at right now. So at long last, it's time to score, and I basically gave myself one day to do this, and I got through basically all of it, which is great. So I'm just going to take you through my instrumentation, kind of my thought process. You know, it's weird scoring a 5-minute movie in really just a couple hours because I worked today. I started this at like 5. It is now 10:30, and I made dinner at some point during then, so you know, I've spent a good amount of time on this, but not a ridiculous amount of time, especially for a 5-minute short. So let me take you through my instrumentation. My first thing is a sort of like it's billed as like an ethnic guitar, but really it's just more of like a European-ish sounding guitar. I'm using this for the sort of Twilight Zone homage I do at the very beginning, which is, you know, your classic... but then you do the root with it if it's a minor key, so... something like that. That's not the right interval, but you know what I'm saying. It's basically just like this plucky sort of sound. I think it worked, so I went with that. The second thing I went for is this legato cello run. I didn't want a long cello. I wanted something I could play some runs with, so something kind of like this. The next instrument is called a viola da gamba, and I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I honestly had no idea what this instrument was until I read the little like readme on the plugin, which is super cool. I love how they have like historical stuff on there. It's apparently a Baroque instrument, and as I was playing it, I realized this is from... they use this in the Elden Ring soundtrack. They have like this creepy drone, and they add a half step, and that's like a lot of like Elden Ring suspense music, just... and it's like that specific timbre. Oh, so cool. Then of course I have a bass just at the bottom, super dark, evil sounding drone. And that's my bread and butter, honestly. I've been using that all the time, even up an octave. A little less ominous, but still ominous. And, you know, basically just filling in the sort of bass and sub-bass sections of the mix. Really, that kind of sits alone by itself there, and it works wonders. Next instrument is a glockenspiel. And I'm really trying to use it conservatively because I'm always using too much glockenspiel, guys. Constantly using too much glockenspiel. That's just, I don't know, I love it. It sounds so cool and magical, but really it's best used when it's kind of in the back of the mix, sort of supporting the other things that are happening. So I'm having it do a lot of like, you know, some sort of like magical sort of sounds that kind of add this like twinkling, ethereal sort of feel, and not really having it be in the forefront and playing melodies and things like that. So the next one is a cymbalon, and it's basically this like hammered dulcimer with these big old strings, and I love the way it sounds. And I really only am using it twice to play these sort of like fear motifs. It's like a... something like that. And I have a crazy amount of reverb on it just to make it feel like it's being played in some like dream, right? I also have this like tremolo violin with a on their strings. And maybe this is a good time to talk about my general chord progression, my like the harmony for this. Really, it's basically exactly what I did on the Observatory. We have a C minor chord, and then we jump up 1, 2, 3 half steps to this D sharp minor. So we're going between, and then we resolve down to the D major. And it's great. It works every time without a hitch. Now that I know this chord progression, I hear it constantly, everywhere. Anytime you need something to seem kind of spooky and ethereal, it's all about that. It just works great. So I'm using that throughout the piece, especially here at the very beginning. So as the piece continues, and we move into like the final chamber, as I've been calling it in my project files, where Lord Bonesworth contemplates what life after death could be like. I wanted it to be a little bit more ethereal, a little bit more, less menacing. Because really, you know, if you think about it, this is a very existentialist sort of piece, right? Like, these skeletons have made this nightclub because they don't want to confront what happens after death, right? They don't want to move on to the other side because they're afraid that there could be nothing. And that fear is keeping them from crossing the threshold. And which is like super dark and existential, which I love, obviously. So since, you know, this is Bonesworth's moment to talk about this, I wanted, you know, to give a bit more, I don't want to say levity, but maybe take away some of the fun spookiness and inject a little bit of like, I don't know, etherealness, right? So I think at that point we're in E major, an E power chord, a 1 and a 5. And then I add the 2, and this kind of builds a bit of a cluster chord, which sounds great. It's really nice and ethereal, and most importantly, you can't really tell whether or not it's major or minor. And then I oscillate between that major third and minor third. So we start here, third cluster chord, and then add the major 3, bring it down to minor, and basically we're oscillating between those two. And I think it works really nicely. It kind of has this ominous tone, but also this like ethereal sort of almost larger than life, right? Like this cosmic sort of feeling that I wanted to portray. I think this instrumentation with this boys choir specifically, it works a treat. And lastly here, I have this sort of ethereal solo voice. It is from the Voices of Passion East-West Quantum Leap plugin suite, for those of you who care about plugins. I don't know. But these are notoriously overused. Even the Wales one, which is the one I'm using, is so totally overused. But I find if you put some reverb on it and let it sit kind of in the background, one, it sounds better. Two, you kind of escape that, idiosyncratic sound from this plugin that I think every composer can hear immediately. So if you do music composition and you heard this immediately, I failed clearly, but hopefully for everyone else it just kind of seemed like a real voice that was in the background. So this is what it sounds like. It sounds pretty good. There's a little bit of like legato, a little bit of slurring in between the notes that makes it easy to build a phrase. That was painted black. I just realized that. And I guess the very last thing are drums. There's like a chase sequence, so of course I like to bring out the Dragon Ensemble, these big old drums and cymbals, and they sound great. It's very easy to do way too much, so you try and be reserved. I actually don't even drum it out on here, I just kind of program it in, but sometimes I will drum it out. It just depends. I'm just really trying to do this on the fly, so I just kind of clicked it all into place. And it sounds fine. I've gotten to a place where I've pretty much scored the whole movie. Now I just kind of want to go back and refine and make things better for the rest of the night, and then hopefully tomorrow this thing will be done. So tweak the score a little bit today, maybe also tweak it a little bit tomorrow, add in the wild lines that actors may or may not be sending me, we'll see, and then export. And that's it, and we're done. It is Thursday. It is Thursday, October 24th, and guys, I'm done. I've finished everything. I finished the vertical edit, I finished the social edits, assuming I don't get any wild lines from the Discord before tonight. That's it. I actually do one thing. I gotta finish the behind the scenes. I gotta finish this. This was not the snappiest video you've ever seen. Let's be honest with each other here. Like, this was a lot of me just kind of like talking into camera, a lot of this. And if you're not into like filmmaking or motion design or visual effects or 3D animation or any of that kind of thing, this is going to be incredibly boring to you, right? And it might be boring to you even if you are to those things. But hopefully, this gave you some insight into the process, right? Because at the end of the day, filmmaking is very hard, right? It's hard to pour all of your time and effort and attention and feelings into something with the distinct possibility that it's not going to work out. And thankfully, I think this turned out great. And a lot of that's just because of like the lowered expectations, right? I gave myself a limited amount of time. I'm using an engine that's not going to be perfect, right? So if there's glitches, it doesn't really matter, right? There's definitely things I would change. There's definitely things I would fix, right? The character animation, I think, could be better. I wish I had some of those fancy Rococo gloves to animate the fingers. I'm like pretty proud of where this ended up. So I want to thank you guys for coming along on the journey, for being there virtually every step of the way. Hopefully you've been doing dishes while you were watching this, or eating food, or maybe working on one of your own projects. And I hope, if anything, this is just motivation that, like, even if you're unsure whether or not something's possible, maybe it's worth doing anyway. You could surprise yourself. And even if you don't, there's so much to be learned. I don't want to create some sort of illusion that everything I do is a success, because it's not, because I'm failing all the time. I'm in a constant state of failure, like truly every single day. Sometimes those failures amount to something. Sometimes those failures amount to W's. And this, at least right now in this moment, I'm feeling like it's a W. So Thanks for joining me. Thanks for coming along on this just epic adventure at my desk. But anyway, I just want to thank you all for watching, and yeah, catch you on the next one.